Hey guys, it's Liz from blueandhazel.com and welcome to my homeschool YouTube channel. We are brand new to using Ambleside Online if you are new to this channel, and we are brand new to really using a lot of Charlotte Mason methods in our homeschool. This is our first year of using narrations and first year of using Ambleside. We have a first grader, third grader, and fourth grader that I plugged into levels 1, 3, and 4. And today's video, I just want to kind of give you an update and tell you how it went. The first 2 weeks were like this, and learning curve was really high for me. And so I know that a lot of you probably, just like myself, enjoy seeing what other people's homeschools actually look like. And so I'm hoping to give you a glimpse into just like the learning curve for me and what that looked like using all of these different moving parts, and how we scheduled 3 kids, and how I didn't lose my mind, although it felt like it sometimes. I felt like going into it, I'd probably spent a good solid month just finding and buying books and labeling those books. I'll drop all those videos that I made on how we like organized our homeschool year for Ambleside, and then also how we labeled our books. So you can watch those if you'd like. But I feel like I spent a lot of time preparing just what it would look like, but the actual like doing of the readings and the narrations and seeing how we did morning time together and how much time it would take and how the 2-year-old would do, it was just, we had to just start and see how it would go. And so I would say day 1 was just crazy. Like, don't ever judge your homeschool future by your first day of a new curriculum, because like, wow, you will just be like, woo. It was hard, honestly. And so what I ended up doing that first day was just like pulling a kid here, getting the math done here, like 2-year-old interrupting here. And I feel like the first day for me was just loading up all of the problems that weren't going right and how I could fix those problems, which is a helpful step in getting a smoother schedule. So, so as far as like the rest of that week, it actually went a lot better. What I ended up doing actually, I ditched our daily schedule. So Christy from the Ambleside Online Facebook group, I forget her last name, but she provided these free files that have been so incredible for a lot of moms. And it's a daily schedule that separates like what she had her kids do each day from the weekly schedule that Ambleside Online provides, because Ambleside doesn't give you a daily schedule, and it's really up to you to divide those readings. And then if you have multiple kids, you have to figure that out for yourself. So she's kind of done that, and I actually downloaded and printed those out. She has a Canva template. If you are interested in that, you can go to the Facebook page and find her file and try that. She's made a lot of substitutions, which I would need to go back through and fix for our family if we don't want to use certain things. And she has notes about those substitutions that you can go in and fix them on your Canva template. But I kind of just printed the first two weeks. So it was a front and back, just like so I could get an idea of what in the heck am I supposed to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And we ditched that after the first week, mainly because I feel like a simpler version for the way my brain works, at least right now, is just to go off of this. And I'll explain kind of how I did that in a minute. It was helpful the first few days, mainly so that I could look down and see, oh, in year 3, there's only 2 books that we need to do today. Boom, boom, done. And then I kind of knew what we were doing for family time. Same with like year 4. Oh, okay, so these are the pages he's supposed to read from this book today, and then tomorrow these are the ones. And so it just helped me to really see like each day there was only 2, maybe 3 readings a day. So she did a really good job of helping me just start, but I realized like I could actually pick any readings that I wanted and divide them however I wanted, as long as it was on that week's schedule. And really what I do now, and what I've done for the last 2 weeks, is I go to the readings of that week and I pick like 2, maybe 3 if one of the readings is easy, but really it's like 1 to 2 readings for year 1, and then 2, if not maybe 3 from year 3 and 4. And so you can kind of go through and see how many readings you think there are and divide them between the days, but that can be a little tricky if you don't know what the books are like. For instance, my year 4, I ended up actually chopping up some of the readings, which might look on the schedule like just 1 reading, but I ended up chopping them into more just because some of the language it uses is just harder to read, and the vocabulary is hard, and so the concentration level it takes to listen to it is more than we're used to. So I ended up chopping those readings into a few different readings, if that makes sense. And so we would spread those out over 2 days instead of 1 day or something. Especially with like this country of ours that got really long, and so did Madam How and Lady Why, that got really long, so we kind of chunked those up more. But ultimately, what I would do is I would pick out the books that I decided that we would do the next day. Generally, I would try to keep it to one history reading since those are a little bit more like facty, and then one other type of reading. So I would take those books out of their bins, and then I would lay those books in front of their bins with the math sheet. And that just gave me a visual on the floor each morning when I woke up, who was supposed to read what. Then when it came to the actual page numbers or chapter numbers, I would just refer to the sheet again real quick just to make sure we were, you know, opening to the right page or the right chapter. Not all of the books go straight through. Some of them are like this story, then this story, then this story, then this story. So it's like, just double check if you're doing that to make sure it's on the schedule. So we ended up dropping Age of Fable for my 4th grader, and I have no plans to bring that back. For me, I feel like Ambleside Online in general, they have a very heavy emphasis on mythology, and that's fine. I think it's actually probably really valuable, especially because a lot of literature comes from those, you know, old fables, and knowing where they come from gives you a better understanding of other types of writing. But it is very, very heavy in mythology and fables. You'll see that throughout the younger years, especially, and I'm all for fairy tales. I love that. Mythology is neat, but I feel like I don't really care to have as much of it in our homeschool as maybe Ambleside Online schedules in. And so that's a personal preference thing for me. If you want to follow it by the book, just do the readings on the schedule, you're fine. But that lightened our load a little bit. I just decided to get rid of it. The other one for my 3rd grader that I took off of her schedule to lighten our load is the biography called Da Vinci. And that one probably is awesome too. And I just literally felt like I needed to lighten our load, and I had to kind of remind myself, like, you don't have to follow everything as is. This is our homeschool, and I have to remind myself it's okay to do what we need to do for our homeschool. There are a few subjects that I do plan to use that we didn't touch. So in the first couple weeks, we didn't use Shakespeare or Plutarch, and we did not do the Bible readings from the Ambleside Online schedule, but we did do the Bible readings from Simply Charlotte Mason's history Bible geography guide called Genesis through Deuteronomy. So we'll be reading kind of through that in our morning time together. So as far as Shakespeare goes, I think what a lot of people have said, if you're new to Ambleside, if you're new to Shakespeare, do that maybe in term 2, like ease into term 1, add that in term 2 when you feel like you've got a better grounding. So I think what we'll do is we'll wait on Shakespeare till term 2. I might try it in the afternoon sometime instead of like poetry tea. We'll probably do like tea time with Shakespeare, or I've got the Lamb's children's version of the plays, not the full plays. And even though it says in year 4, you can start the real plays with, you know, year 4 and up. Since I have year 4 and year 3 and year 1, and the year 1 and 3 are supposedly scheduled for the not full plays, like the Lamb's version, the children's version, I'm actually just gonna keep us all doing the same thing together. So I will read Lamb's version. I bought some really fun like coloring things on Etsy from the plays that we wanna do, and then we will probably try to either watch a play or go see a play or something like that if I can manage to find something like that. So that's my plan for that, but we're not gonna do that term 1 for now. As far as Plutarch goes, I do wanna add that in at some point, but again, we may end up just adding that into term 3, or we may end up flip-flopping, like 1 afternoon a week Shakespeare, 1 afternoon a week Plutarch, 1 afternoon a week Shakespeare, Plutarch, that type of thing. So I know there's families out there who do that. If you do that, please let me know how it's working for you. I'd love to know. As far as the riches go, this is an area where I know a lot of families say, ease into it with the riches. And I thought about doing that, but instead what we did is we just started with the week 1 readings and then added in the riches as I felt like I could figure out where to put them, I guess you call it. So for poetry, initially we started out doing like, I got these Ambleside Online poetry anthologies for year 1, 3, and 4. So there's 365 of their most beautiful poems they've collected, put so much work into them. And then I was gonna read a poem a day to each kid. But after the first 2 days, I was like, wait, I just wanna do poetry together. Like, I don't wanna do this like one poem for you, one poem for you, one poem for you. It's just more that my brain was feeling scattered. And so now what we're doing is during our morning time, after Bible and hymn, I grab this book and we read probably about 2 every single day. And so we'll finish this quicker than a year doing that. And when we finish this, then we'll just move on to the other poetry books that I have from Ambleside. So I think instead of getting stuck on the fact that they're not reading the poems from their year, I'm just going to be like, you know what? We're enjoying poetry. And this is like the point of homeschool, is to find what works for you. So we're gonna do this together. And so far it's been awesome. And we don't dissect it, we just read it and move on. Artist study, I have the art prints that I printed out for free from A Humble Place. And once a week, we can do that for 5 minutes. It's really easy and not hard to add to morning time at all. As far as the folk song goes, one afternoon, we played Aiken Drum online on a YouTube video, and the kids, it's so catchy. The kids were having fun with that and making up their own ditties and stuff afterwards. So composer study, I'll be honest, we did nothing with that. I have the materials that I'm gonna use for it, but we just haven't added it yet. And nature study, we didn't add anything yet in there. So as I kind of get my grounding, we'll figure out where I can put those in. And I may need like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday mom schedule where I can say like, okay, this is the day we're gonna do nature study. This is the day we're gonna do artist study, composer study, things like that. So it's just like really scheduled on which day we're gonna do which one of those things. For geography, I am using the geography plan that goes along with this study from Simply Charlotte Mason. What that looks like really is once a week, they have planned in here a visit to Africa. And so I'm not totally sure what that's looking like yet since we're just starting this, but I printed off the PDF, one for each kid. Each week you have a visit to Africa, and then you get to basically study the map with the countries on it, and then you have to fill in whatever you can remember from the map. And so that's going to be something that we're learning how to do. And then each week they add a new country to, look at the map, put down what you remember, add what's new. I'm not going to do some of the other activities that are in here. We're not going to do any of the writing in here. I'll just do those orally. It also has you do, on occasion, we've barely touched this, just chapter 1 in here, letters from Egypt. And I'm really excited about this book because it's written in such an easy to understand conversational way that we're going to be learning a lot about Egypt through this book. There's an occasional sprinkling in of picture books as well that I've bought, but I'm looking through just the guide in here, and it's mostly it's like 3 days a week just Bible, and then 1 day a week a visit to Africa where you're doing that geography work there. And then 1 day a week of like history. And so it doesn't feel like an overwhelming amount of history at all. We're gonna do geography anyways, so I feel like this can just really be our map work. But I do see with the Ambleside Online readings why it's wise to not add in other stuff. So I'm just gonna be trying this out, and if it's way too much, I might have to make the call if we wanna go like all Simply Charlotte Mason for our history, or all Ambleside for our history, or if I can kind of swing it where I can do this, which feels really light to me compared to Ambleside, which I kind of like. I feel like at least right now it's been doable. Maybe as we have older kids, maybe it'll be harder, but right now it seems okay. And so we're just gonna kind of continue on with that. I feel like I need to have a US map and a world map with me whenever we do our readings, because pretty much like in all of those books that we're reading, there's a place mentioned where, it's the setting is, and I feel like the kids would benefit from, you know, seeing where that ship sailed around, like right after we read about it, or, you know, seeing where that, you know, paddle boat goes down as soon as we read about it. And just having like an instant map there where I don't have to go look for it would be really nice. So that's what I'm planning to add. It's just a US map and a world map kind of like instantly ready at my fingertips for when we do those readings. There's also some really fun maps. If you go to the Ambleside Online Facebook group and you look in their files, they have a bunch of people who have created map packets for the individual books. You don't have to use any of those, but they're just really fun visuals if you want to add that in, but you can just keep it simple and not do that too. So I printed out some, but I don't know how much we'll actually look at them. So there's like, people have done map packets by year. So I printed out like a year 1 map packet, a year 3 map packet, and year 4. And we'll see, hopefully they'll just be nice visuals to like help us with those history readings. As far as how these first 2 weeks went, I honestly feel like they went pretty well, and it definitely smoothed out with time. Probably the best things that helped me this week and last week was to have the books laid out for the morning so we knew what to do, to use this schedule and color in anything that we had read so I could see visually like what we had done and what we hadn't done. And then also I think what really helped was to get my youngest learner his stuff all done as soon as I could in the morning, first thing. And so then I could just mentally be done with him, and then we only had 2 kids to juggle their work. The other thing that helped a lot, I didn't do really the first week, but ended up trying out the second, was to give my 4th grader one reading and see what he could narrate back to me. And he did so good. We did Storybook of Science for him and Poor Richard for him. And so those 2 books, I feel confident that when they come up, which is, you know, a couple times, it's not every day, but it's a couple times during the week, then he can go off and do that independently while I'm working with my 3rd grader. The other thing that they can do independently, and this is like when I'm working with one, they can go do this on their own, is copy work. So we'll do our recitation, and then they're currently actually doing their copy work from the recitation. For recitation, it was really simple. It took us just a few minutes, and they were reciting one of the poems that Ambleside Online schedules for term 1. They would read it out loud. It's not necessarily for memory. It's mainly just to practice speaking clearly and loudly. But I feel like already my kids have started to memorize parts of that, which is pretty cool, just from reading it every single day. So they would go do copy work from one small stanza, and so a poem might take them a whole week to do, but that's something like I would have them do the recitation first thing kind of in the morning so that then they could go whenever to go do the copy work when I was working with reading to another kid. And then math time got sprinkled in there just like anytime I was able. So that was a little unpredictable. But the last thing I wanted to say was, and I'd love to hear from any of you if you have any experience with Ambleside, is how you could use this curriculum while having like a day of week in like a co-op or something, or a day a week doing a play date or a dentist appointment or whatever, because we had a few things come up in the morning, I think a dentist appointment and something else. And so one day I did school in the afternoon, which I was really tired. The kids did all right, which was cool, but I was really tired and didn't want to be doing school in the afternoon. And so I'm thinking to myself, if we in the future ever join a co-op or do, you know, a morning thing or a play date once a week or something, like how could we make this work? Because it does feel very full, and it does take us like every day from, you know, 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning all the way to lunchtime, maybe 1-ish. So maybe we'll get faster, but I also feel like the mornings are just full now with 3 kids in Ambleside readings and math and, you know, just interruptions and things like that. And so I would love to know how that's worked for you, if you have any advice. But thank you all for watching, and please leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and let me know if you would like to see more of these updates. I'm happy to kind of update how things are going and what we're switching and what's been good, what's been bad. Just let me know what you'd like to see and what's helpful for you. Also subscribe if you haven't. I would love to have you stick around, and hit the bell for being notified whenever I put a new video up. All right, thanks so much for watching.